Hey guys, it's Jedi Lex, and welcome to the 23rd episode of Beyond Tatooine, where I bring on different collectors to talk about how their love of Star Wars originated, as well as take a look at and chat about their collections. And on today's episode, I have Rex from the Millennium Workshop. So, how are you doing today?
Doing very well. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm super excited to have you on. I love your work, so it'll be really cool to kind of talk about your creative process and what really goes into it because you do some phenomenal work.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's been a blast ever since I kind of started doing this. So it's been a wild ride for sure.
100%. I have like a little 3D printer and I print some projects off, but nothing to the scale that you do. So it'll be cool to kind of see like how you go through the thought process and how it really comes together because I know it doesn't start off pretty like it ends up. So yeah.
It's a lot of trial and error for sure.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
what's cool is even with a small printer, I mean, I don't have like the biggest printers in the world, but I'm getting ready to start an almost life-size Rancor head. It's
Oh
going to be a
wow.
70% scale, so you can do a
That
lot with
sounds
a small printer.
crazy. You can, you just gotta piece it together. I think I have like a little ender or something like that, so it's not like massive by any means, but I can do like little prints here and there. But I think like putting it together, painting it, sanding it, all that stuff is like advanced for me.
If you ever need help, I'll walk you through it.
Okay, sounds good. I might take you up on that. But for people who don't know, can you tell us a little bit about your channel, what you focus on, and where people can find you?
Mainly on my channel on YouTube, I really just focus on showing off things that I can make. It's basically a kind of like a future diary for my daughter, because I want her to be able to like look back and be like, oh, my dad, he was a nerd, but he did some really cool stuff. And I think, because we're all not going to live forever, and I just kind of want to leave something for her and maybe my future grandkids one day. So,
Okay, that's
but
really
it's all
cool. I
about
didn't
building
know.
stuff.
Yeah, I didn't know that that was like kind of the deeper root of your channel. I love that. It makes it even better.
Yeah, I mean, it all pretty much started because of her. So when
Okay,
it
is she
comes
a
to
Star Wars fan? Not yet.
Star Wars fan by proxy, like she loves the fact that I that Star Wars is technically real to her because I'm bringing things kind of to life. Um, but I mean, it was until she got like you know, introduced to Grogu. That was when what kind of like sold her. It's baby Yoda, and if you say Grogu around her, she gets really mad. I mean, she is 5 years old, so you can't really correct that.
Yep, I totally get it. But I think it's things like that that really bring in the younger generation. So I think it's cool that she kind of has that character that she attaches to and kind of, now has that love of, or I guess I don't know if it's a love, but an interest in Star Wars and something that you can bond over. Because I had that relationship with my dad. He's the one that introduced me to Star Wars, and that's like always been our thing. So I think it's cool that you guys are going to have a similar relationship like that.
Yeah, so far it's been a blast. I mean, like for me as a kid, it was Darth Maul and Boba Fett. Like those were the two that one they were just very intriguing to me, and like Darth Maul like terrified me as a kid. I just thought he was scary looking, kind of like how a lot of your older collectors that are really big into Star Wars, it was like Darth Vader was terrifying to them. Darth Maul was 100% scary to me, and I just absolutely loved it.
I used to be really scared of Sidious, like, when I watched the original trilogy and you can kinda, like, see his face and stuff, and I was like, "Oh, this is not for me," but I think Darth Maul definitely was pretty freaky. I wasn't that scared of Vader, I don't think, but Maul and Sidious definitely got to me. I don't know why, but they did.
Yeah, I just think it's for me, like you couldn't see Vader's eyes, and like when they first do that shot of Darth Maul, and you can like see his eyes, and he's kind of cloaked, and it's like, okay, he's kind of scary. What is going on with him?
Yeah. I mean, they did a great job with that character, so are you a big Darth Maul fan, or is there a character that you like a little bit more?
It's really like it goes back and forth between him and like Boba Fett and like any type of Mandalorian because they have like the coolest helmets, and I've always been fascinated with like the cooler the helmet, like that was the person I kind of geared towards. So that I think that's big reason why I have a fascination for making helmets.
Okay.
Like
So
I'm
do you
kind of like
do
Ezra, you know?
Yeah. No, I totally get it. I mean, the Mandalorians have really cool helmets, and they're all, like, unique to the Mandalorian themselves, so and it's really cool when you can, like, customize them. I've seen some crazy ones, like, I think you did a Darth Maul one, like, a Darth Maul
Yes.
Mandalorian take, like, that was pretty sick. So
Yeah, and Billy, he's one of my best friends. He actually bought that one from me, and there's a future project where I'm going to make like armor to match it for him. So that's going to be a
ooh,
blast to do.
that'll be really cool, have, like, a whole set and everything. Does he have, like, a name for, like, his Mandalorian, like, alter ego? Or his
I don't think
cosplay, I
he's
guess?
came up with one. I call it the Maulorian.
The
That like,
Mandalorian. Okay.
yeah. But I mean, if he wants to call it something else, he's more than welcome to. He can come up with something way more creative.
No, I totally get it. Well, it would be his cosplay, so I get it, but I like the Mandalorian. That'll be pretty cool.
So,
Okay. So I guess what really, like, sparked your love of Star Wars? Like, where did the interest and the love for Star Wars come from?
well, it really, I think it really started from like my brother had Star Wars toys, and he's 8 years older than me. So like I inherited those, and they became mine. And I really didn't know who the characters were. And I really didn't remember watching the original series until like the the prequels came out, and I was just fascinated with the first story. That really started was the prequels for me. It really just took me down a road of loving Star Wars. But then I got older and I was too cool for Star Wars and focused on sports, and it kind of like left me for a long time. And then the Mandalorian came out, and it was just like, oh my gosh, this is why I've always loved Star Wars. It's this right here, and it's a beautiful story, and then there's action, and it just wrapped me right back into it. And now I'm just a nerd, so I just don't care if I'm too cool or not, because I definitely am not cool.
No, I think you're super cool, and I think everything that you do is really cool, so you are definitely cool in my book, so you can say that you're cool to someone at least, you know? But I think The Mandalorian really kind of roped a lot of people back in because we were, like, through such a period, after Revenge of the Sith, we didn't really have anything, and I myself was always a Star Wars fan, but I feel like it definitely was, like, in my back pocket for a very long time, and then COVID happened, we had The Mandalorian, and I was like, wow, like I love Star Wars again. Like it really reinvigorated a lot of people's love for Star Wars again, which I think is really cool.
Yep, that's one of the best things that came from the pandemic, I think, because people found you know hobbies and found things that they enjoyed, because you couldn't really enjoy anything else other than what was at home. So I think that was a big part of it too.
Yeah, 100%. Is that when you kind of picked up like printing things and stuff like that? Is that when that kind of sparked, or was it beforehand?
I started printing a little bit before the pandemic, like personally. So it all started with my daughter wanted to be Grogu for Halloween when she was 3. She's 5 now, and well, I guess it would have been after the through the pan after the pandemic. I don't know. I'm starting to lose time. Once you have a kid, you start losing
Yeah.
time. And she asked me. She goes, "Dad, I want to be Baby Yoda." And I was like, "Oh, that's awesome. Let's do it." I'm down. And she goes, "But you have to be Mando." And I was like, "Okay, I can be Mando. I can get a costume." No, she goes, "You got to be Mando." So I bought a 3D printer. I started printing everything, and I walked into her room, and it was fully done. I mean, she didn't know it was done. So, and she's sitting on her bed, and she looks up at me and she goes, "Mando." Like she thought I was actually Mando. And I was like, well, if I can fool a 5-year-old, I can fool everyone. And I don't know, it just kind of the her reaction to who I became, and like I looked like I was like a hero to her in that situation. And I don't know, and I think it just drew me more into making things, because if it can bring joy to her, it can bring joy to other people. And making stuff has I've definitely got to see the joy from other people. Like I get pictures and of the helmet that I made for their son or their daughter, and or just the collector that wanted a Sabine helmet. Like Janine, like the fact, I mean, she sent me a picture of like it displayed, and she was super excited, and I get to enjoy that as well. So it's been a blast.
Yeah, that gave me goosebumps. I think that story is like, oh, it was just adorable. I think it's so cool. Like a lot of this is really stemming from your daughter in multiple aspects, and I think it's really cool that she was like, "That is Mando," because I probably would have done the same thing. I would have been like, "Dad, Mando? Like who?" So I love that everything about that. That was so adorable.
And she is the so my daughter's name is Rhea, which means it's a form of queen, and she actually has a full Mandalorian suit, armor, everything, and she's the Rayalorian. And so, being 5 years old and have this like a suit or an actual like not screen accurate, but something you would see on TV. And like if I was 5 years old, I would have just died as a kid. And she loves wearing it. She'll put it on, and you could tell like her confidence is just totally different. She's a different person when she has it on.
Yeah, well, she's the Rayalorian when she has it on, or the Rayalorian,
That's right.
sorry. Is it like customized, or is it kind of like Mando's?
So it is. It's fully custom. So it's Boba Fett's chest armor. It's Sabine's jetpack, and then it's Mando's helmet. But it's all. Actually, let me actually grab it. And it has a black glitter paint to it.
Oh wow,
So,
that is adorable.
and it's so tiny.
Probably would not fit on either of our heads,
Oh,
but
definitely not. No.
I mean, she's got the best part of different Mandalorians kind of going into her whole Rayalorian outfit, and that's so cool. Wow, I wish I
And
had a dad that could 3D print that for me.
I even like hand stitched and made the flight jacket to stick all the armor onto. So, and
Very
the
impressive.
actual jetpack magnetizes to the back. So, like if I mean, it's not very heavy, but if she doesn't want it on, it just pulls right off, and or you can just stick it right on, and it takes no effort at all.
Wow, you are number one dad of the year. That is for sure, 100%, hands down. That is phenomenal. I love that, and I love that your daughter's like into Star Wars too. So that's I love that. Okay,
Yeah, she's into Star Wars, and then the princess stuff, and she's a super girly girl at the same time, which is my wife is definitely excited about that.
yeah. I mean, it's good to have the best of both, and she may lean towards the princesses more one day, and then the Mandalorian the next, and you've just got to be a well-rounded young lady. So I totally get having the different interests, but it's cool that she does have the various interests because that's what makes her and her interest unique. So
100% agree on that.
yeah, I love that for her. Oh, that was wonderful. So you mentioned the prequels were really like the first few movies that really stuck with you. Is one of those 3 one of your favorite movies, or where do you go? What's your favorite movie?
So this does make a lot of people mad, but I mean, episode one is what really like started it for me. And as a kid, and everyone always gets mad about this, but Jar Jar Binks was absolutely hilarious. And I'll always love number one. It'll always be my favorite. Um, After that, probably Revenge of the Jedi. But yeah, number one is my favorite,
Okay.
100%.
Wow, so did you actually go to see it, in theaters when they brought it back for the 25th anniversary?
No, I watched it at home. So um, my daytime job, I'm a jeweler, and um, throughout that, you have Mother's Day, and it's just
Yeah,
super busy in the jewelry industry. So I wasn't able to go see it in theaters, but I definitely did watch it at home.
yeah, I'm sure it was just as good then, and I'm not mad about the Jar Jar comment because I absolutely love Jar Jar. I was probably like 5 when I started watching it, and my dad always makes fun of me for this, but I used to call him Jar Jar Bing Bangs, but he was like my favorite part of the movie. Like I just loved his character. I thought the comedy level was like just right. He was just like a clumsy little aspect to the movie that's like kind of serious in certain ways, and a lot of people hate on him, and I never understood it because like growing up, like that was my favorite part of watching Phantom Menace. So
Well, and I love the theory that like everything happens for a reason, and like the dark side, Jar Jar, and like I would love for Disney to like actually like invest into that because I think it's absolutely hilarious that his rise to power, because I think it would be so cool.
I think it would be cool too, and I'm interested to see what they're gonna do with that because they teased it in that trailer, and I was like, wow, like this is gonna be really good. But I know a lot of people that are not Jar Jar fans were like, this is gonna suck, and I was like, oh, you guys, like Jar Jar as a Sith Lord, like come on, how could you not love that?
Or like I would love for them to do like a like what if series, like
Yes.
what if Darth Vader didn't go to the dark side, or what if Luke went to the dark side.
Yeah.
Like I would love just a little series that was not canon, did not go with the story. They just threw it out there. I think that would be like a fun little thing to like, well, in this universe of Star Wars, this happened. I think that would just be really kind of fun, and I think it would just bring a lot of people just to kind of laugh, like not laugh at it, but like kind of, oh, well, that would be kind of cool if that did happen.
Yeah, 100%. And I think they were kind of like speculating that like a what if was possibly going to be in the works, but I've always said it. I was like, I love because I like the Marvel what if. I was like, it's definitely not canon. It's just like a cool little spin off of like a reality that could have happened. But there's so much within Star Wars that you could do. What if Ahsoka became an Inquisitor? What if just so many what ifs and like like I don't even like even if they did it like a short kind of like what they did with Tales of the Empire or something like that. I mean, there's clearly more than 6 what ifs possible, but I would love for just like a little series like that and you drop it every like May 4th or something like I don't know. I would love a what if series.
Yeah, it would also be kind of like cool, like with a like let's say like Ahsoka, how she goes into the uh, I don't know what it's called, like the Upside Down, and
Oh,
she's
like the
battling
World Between
Anakin.
Worlds.
Yeah, the world between worlds, and like, what if there was like one of that happens again, and it's just like, this is the reason why I went the way I went because this would have happened, and it shows like Ahsoka going to the dark side or becoming an Inquisitor. Or, I think that would be kind of cool to show like this is why I took the path that I did
Yes.
type of vibe, and I don't know, that'd be cool. But I know I have no pull there, so that's not going to happen.
Yeah. I can only hope. I can only hope. And I guess speaking of shows, well, I guess you're a big Mandalorian guy. So is The Mandalorian your favorite show?
Oh, I love the Mandalorian. Yes.
Okay.
But I absolutely loved Rebels once you get first, through the first like 5 episodes of Rebels.
Yeah.
I love the Ezra, storyline, and I thought that was really good. Like Hera and all them, and
Yes.
Chopper's like my favorite droid. So one day
Chopper
I am gonna
is
make a life size Chopper.
okay. That was gonna be my next question. Because I love Chopper. I really love Rebels, and when people like kind of push it off and they're like, it's just animation, and I'm like, no, like it's so good. Like same thing with Clone Wars, but I feel like Chopper, like even I don't know if this will make some people like kind of distasteful, but I feel like Chopper kind of replaced R2D2 for me. Oh
I
no.
agree. I no, I agree. And I mean,
Okay.
he was that. I don't know. He was just so sarcastic and like basically like was making fun of the characters without like hearing
Saying
any
it.
words, and it was just I don't know, I think he's way funnier than R2.
100%. Yeah. Okay. I'm glad I'm not like alone in that sailboat, but I definitely love
Yep.
Chopper a lot. I love Rebels, and I will definitely keep my eye out for that life-size Chopper project because I think that would be really cool. I've seen some of them at conventions. People like print out like life-size droids and paint them and everything, and I'm like, wow, this is
It's
so
a
cool. And
lot of
some of
work.
them move.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's actually a guy. I'm in Dayton, Ohio. There, I can't think of his name, but he makes all of them, and he just finished a Hugh Yang, and it is
Oh wow.
just amazing. You'll see him
That
on. They show him on Spice Runners Lounge every once in a while. He was actually on there. I want to say like 3 months ago, and I can't think of his name. So I am so sorry. If
dude.
you end up watching this, I am sorry that I forgot your name.
Well, I'll have to if you find it later, definitely send it to me because I would love to see like a life size Hu Yang. I think that is cool because I really liked Hu Yang in Ahsoka. I thought that was like he did have the like Chopper's comedy, but was actually able to like kind of say it without
Oh
having to be
yes,
like
one hundred
evil.
percent.
So I liked Hu Yang a lot. Okay.
But I love Chopper. Like when they're like, "Hey, you need to get that fixed now." And he's like, "Arr, I'm doing." Like you can tell, I'm working on it. You want to come try this?
Yes, I feel like his unspoken comedy, like you can kind of just like almost like just know what he's saying without him actually saying it, or even just interpret it how you think it would be, and it always is just funny to me. So, and I think
Yeah,
they did a good job of like kind of doing that and transitioning him into live action. Like I thought he had that same presence that he did in animation and live action, which I thought was like pretty spot on.
yeah, they definitely did a great job with him for sure.
Yeah, very impressed. And speaking of impressive things, you did send me some pictures of your collection, and then I pulled some of my favorite pieces that you've done. So you want to take a look at those,
Awesome.
kind of walk me through what we got here?
Now I don't have the biggest collection in the world, so
No, it is
it kind of
perfectly
comes
fine.
down to like every time I go to make something that I'm like, oh, this would be perfect. I'll collect this. I'll just make it, and I end up having it for just a little bit, and then I'm like, oh, I could sell that, or somebody offers to buy it, and it's like, okay, well, yeah, I can sell it, and I was like, oh, I'll just make another one. So
Yep.
I
Okay.
actually these two prints I got at the Dayton Comic Con. I want to say 2 years ago, and they're kind of like holographic. And he gave me a really good deal on them, and I had to display them, and I had them framed and matted and everything. And then I had to have the dark saber, splitting
It's
them.
pretty essential. Did you have that when you were dressed as a Mando for Halloween, or?
Oh no, no, I didn't have the dark saber at that point in time. I wish I would have had it. That would have been awesome.
Yeah, is that like the Black Series one or
That is
something
the
like
Black
that?
Series one. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I like that one a lot. Very cool. And I think this is right behind you.
Yep, right above me. So like my dining room is the workshop, so it also like turns into like my collection room at the same time because we don't use we never have used the dining room. So my wife's like, yeah, you should just turn that to your workshop instead of being out in the garage. And I'm closer, to my family, because my
Mhm.
daughter can come in, she'll sit and paint, she'll help me airbrush on helmets and
Oh,
stuff. So
nice.
so it's just kind of cool to have it all kind of up there. So in the middle is my 1/6 scale Boba Fett on throne, and then I made the base to go on it out of foam core, and then I
Wow.
3D printed stuff for it.
Interesting. I was like, I almost thought that was like how it came, but that's even cooler. You made it look a lot better.
I appreciate that. And then I'm starting to. I got bit by the Hot Toys bug. I only have four of them, but it's slowly progressing. But Hunter is my favorite clone. Him and
Okay.
Commander Cody. Those are like the two. So eventually, I'm going to pick up a Commander Cody
Nice.
clone, and then I
Oh,
have to buy a Captain Rex eventually because my name's Rex, and you just can't not have Captain Rex in there. But I
that
got
would
some cool little
make
stuff up
sense.
there.
Yeah, you do. You got some Black Series figures. You got the boy Chopper right there. Nice. So you like the figures when it comes to kind of like collecting a little bit.
Yeah, I got quite a bit of the Black Series built up, and I'm also a huge fan of comic books. So I have some, and I didn't even send those to you. I should have. I have them like framed and hanging up on my wall. I have it's episode one, and it's Darth Maul on the cover, and it's a Dark Horse comic, and it's graded at a 9.8. It's actually like worth like $500, and it it it's like my prize comic book. So I have that framed and mounted. I love that thing.
Especially at a 9.8, that's crazy. That's like a near minty mint. Like that is perfect. That is impressive. I wish I
Yeah,
could
I'll
have
definitely
seen
send you a picture of that one because it
it.
is it's a great comic book.
Did you like read it beforehand, or it's like just sealed? Nothing.
It's 100% sealed. I was too scared to open it up, read it. Wasn't going to do that.
Yep.
Sent it out for grading, and it came back, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is just wild." But I did read it digitally because you can download
Okay.
them all the comic books digitally. So at least
Still
I got
got
to
to
read
read
it.
it. Yeah. Man. Got it graded perfectly. Well, very near to perfect, and got to read it at the same time. Works out. Works out.
What and one of my favorite Black series up there is the George Lucas in the Stormtrooper suit. Like when that came out, I was like, I have to have that because that is just awesome and hilarious at the same time.
It is, and I think it's like I don't know, is that like a pretty rare like TVC figure?
I when it comes to like rarity, I wish I knew all those. I do not.
Gotcha.
It might be. I know I got it like I got it by accident. So I went to like pre-order it, and it didn't go through,
Okay.
but it did go through. And then like 3 months later, I got a notification that my card got charged and shipped. And I was like, I don't even know what I ordered. And when it came in, it was that. So I was like, okay, that's a win-win for me. It's like,
Yeah, it's a pleasant
can't be
surprise.
mad about that.
No, definitely not. I think Janine has that one too. I think she mentioned, but I haven't like seen one in person. So that's why I was like, is it rare? Because I feel like I very rarely see like Black Series or, well, I see Black Series, but not really like a lot of TVC figures like out in the open. So maybe I'm just not like looking for them, but who knows?
I should send it out and have it graded just to just to see. But
Yeah.
it takes forever to get stuff graded.
It yeah, yeah, it's definitely a process, and then you have to, like, wait to see, like, you open the box and you're like, "What's the number?" And
Yeah.
yeah, but I mean,
Well,
if
they
it's
send you an email.
oh, they tell you what it
They
is prior?
Yeah, they send you an email of what it's gonna be, but like when I had the comics done, I was like, I'm not opening that. I want it to be a surprise.
Okay.
So I've done I've done three comics ever. So two of them are Boba Fett's and Darth Maul.
Yeah, the 2 mains. I get it. And then a little bit closer up image, I think. Is that like
Yeah, so
a,
that's a go ahead.
you go ahead.
It's a black series that I did a repaint on.
Gotcha. Okay, that's what I was gonna ask.
What's really cool is if you take the black series Mando helmet and you clear coat it, it actually looks better. The actual color of it, like it makes it look more metal like than how the actual like factory paint job is. I don't know what it is, but when I first cleared it, I was like, oh, this looks way better. So, and I just did a matte clear coat, but for some reason it changed the color just enough where it popped more. And then I went over it with like a ton of browns, made it real dirty.
Okay, interesting, that's good to note. I really want a helmet. I've just stayed away from them a little bit, but it's, like, so tempting. I'm, like, this close to buying one because the Black Series, I feel like they're pretty decent helmets for the most part, and they're like pretty affordable. But I almost just want to buy like a custom one and like support a small business, like from you example, like rather than like Black Series. But we'll see. Maybe I'll buy my first helmet from you.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Yeah. You
Yeah.
just let me know who you like and we make that happen.
Okay, I will definitely hit you up. I gotta do some thinking. And that Boba Fett figure, that looks crazy.
So I picked that up at my local toy store. So there are two toy stores. They're right next to each other. They're owned by the same guy. One is like everything that he owns, and the other shop is like a consignment shop where he has a bunch of like vendors that have cases. And I actually sell, some of the stuff that I make in person at his shop. And one day he got that in, and I was just like, "Oh my gosh, I have to have this." And he goes, "Well, if you want it, man, $10, it's yours." And I was like, "All right, I'll take it." Because I mean, he gets a cut of everything that I take him. So,
Mhm.
he's made more than that toy off of me through that. So I think he was just like, yeah, $10, it's yours, man. The
Yeah.
rest of it's a gift. And that's like one of my favorite Boba Fett's I have. Just the color on it is just really cool. And too scared to
Yeah.
open it because I like it so much.
Yeah, it would be too. I mean, it's a very unique. I haven't seen a Black Series figure that's like all color, like a green, or even the Boba Fett looks like really like it's a cool looking figure. I like that.
Yeah, it's the Carbonite series, I think it is. I think it's the
Okay.
Carbonite series. They did Boba Fett, they did a Mando, and I think they did another one, but I'm not sure which one it is though.
Gotcha. Okay. No Mando one then, or you just haven't found it in the wild?
I haven't found it in the wild. I try not to pre-order anything. If I can't ever find it in person, it wasn't meant to be. So, like, because even at that toy store, he has Hot Toys brand new. One of the vendors, like, he is a
Oh wow.
dealer in Hot Toys. So, you know, there's always Hot Toys popping in and out of there. So, and they're sealed in box, never been opened. So that's how I've gotten a few of my Hot Toys.
Nice. Yeah, I mean that is the way.
This is the way.
And then a little bit closer up with the boba. I would have never known that that base was like made. I thought that was like totally all one thing.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'll take that as a huge compliment. So thank you. Yeah, it's actually three layers of insulation foam, like they would like put in your house, and then I did grout over top, and then painted it.
Okay. Yeah,
Try to get it as close to the stone as possible.
it looks really good. And then the BB-8, is that like a Droid Depot BB-8 or?
Yes. So we went to Disney last October, and my daughter had to have it. And I was like, "Are you sure you don't want Chopper? Chopper's right there. We can get Chopper." And I already told, like, me and my wife agreed we're walking out with only one because we spent so much money while we were there. And I was like, "All right, deal." And my daughter's like, "No, BB-8, BB-8." And I was like, "All right, BB-8." I go, "Now listen, if you don't play with him, he goes up on Daddy's shelf." And he's been there ever since.
Yeah. Yep. I built a droid at Droid Depot and I was like, this is so cool. I think I did it for like my 21st. And I was like, I gotta do something like either this or the lightsaber, like at Savvy's, one of the two. And it is collecting dust, unfortunately. Yeah.
Well, we wanted to do the lightsabers, you get this little card and it's like, here are your options. And I was like, these are no character, like, this is no one that I would want. Like, I wish you could go in there and be like, okay, I want to build a Darth Maul, or I want to build a Vader, or like you could build a character. And it's like, I just couldn't do it. So we backed out. I was like, no, I just don't want it. I just don't want it. And my daughter's like, yeah, Daddy, I don't want it either. And I was like, deal.
Perfect.
Let's go
Same
buy one.
Yeah. I mean, I think the lightsabers that they do there are like pretty custom, but for the price you pay for like a custom one, you could buy almost like a baselet of one of your favorite characters' lightsabers. So I'm like, you
Well,
know,
and when we were there, all the lightsabers, I think were like they were either 25 to 30% off when we were there. So like it was like, I'd rather just do that.
Yeah, probably. Probably would have bought like an Anakin lightsaber instead, but we'll get there. Which one did you end up buying?
Uh, Darth Maul. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay,
Yeah.
nice.
I
Impressive.
panicked there for a second. You asked me way too fast on that one.
My bad, my bad. I'll slow down. Is it like the dual staff one, or is it just like the one blade?
I just the one half. I just bought the one half.
Yeah,
I
one
told my
half.
wife next time we go down, I'll buy the other half. So
Yeah, look, gives you something to look forward to.
yeah.
And then the Rancor, I think, is a newer piece, right? Or
Yes.
okay.
Yeah. I made that I want to say 3 weeks ago. So what I did on this was I did exactly the same as Boba Fett's throne base. Just I didn't like chisel in like the lines or the cracks of it. I wanted it to kind of look like it was kind of mounted, and like if it was in Jabba's palace and he was going to mount it on the wall, that I feel like this is how he would have done it, and that's what I shot for, and I think it was a big success. I did the foam core board uh, the exact same way, and made the side pieces a little bit bigger. I just thought that really like kind of sealed the deal. But I think I want to take like chains and go like from mouth to mouth on those. I think that would be kind of cool.
Yeah,
And then
I mean, I
Joel's
think
trying
it's
to
great.
he's been trying to talk me into like putting a nose ring in there, and like that would be really cool too. So I might alter it. I don't know.
Hey, there's you can always make improvements and stuff, but a little nose ring would be cool. Get them a little piercing or whatever.
Yeah, turn him into a rocker.
We love that. We love that. I mean, I think it looks really cool. I mean, it can only get cooler, but
Yep.
I think it looks like did you just like print the head like flat and then stick it on, kind of?
So I printed it flat, and then the way the file is made from Galactic Armory, it's hollow. So I filled that with insulate, like the spray
Uh,
insulation foam,
Okay.
and then I stuck it to a board to make it flat. But I didn't realize that it's super sticky, and when it dried, it glued itself to the wooden board. So I was just on a live stream with some of my buddies, and you can see me in the background like chopping this thing off with a ruler, and I almost sliced my hand out. I was like, I gotta get this thing off this board because I did
Yeah.
not want to go around it with like a jigsaw and like try to cut it out. I'm like, I will ruin it, and I'll just be like really mad at myself. And I finally got it off, and then I put it on that because I wanted it to have a little bit of weight to it, but not be too heavy. And so, yeah,
Yeah.
that I can't believe I did that.
Hey, it happens. It has a story behind it. I feel like any piece in people's collections that has like a story surrounding it makes it even better, you know?
Nope, 100%.
100%. Yeah. And then you got Boba Fett, looks like Salacious. I'm not sure whose arm piece that is though.
That's Boba Fett's. So
It
I
is.
cosplay as Boba Fett now. So I used to cosplay as Mando. I've retired that suit, and then I moved to Boba Fett, which I'm thinking about retiring the Boba Fett and maybe selling the armor to somebody, and then doing a different one. So I'm thinking about doing Captain Enoch next. So
Oh,
because
okay.
it's one of my favorite helmets to make. So I think that would be really cool to cosplay as that.
That would be really dope. And I mean, I've been to a few conventions since Ahsoka's come out, and I don't think I've seen like a single night trooper or even like a Captain Enoch walking around. So I think that would be pretty like unique of a cosplay.
And
That would
it's a big commitment on making those pieces. I mean, it's a lot that goes into it.
yes. But we'll put a pin in that because I might have added that helmet at the end. And we'll
I'll,
go.
I'll tell you a funny story though about that Hot Toys Boba Fett.
Mhm.
So I had the Boba Fett on the throne. I pre-ordered it, and at my local toy store, that Boba Fett came in. So I bought it. And when I bought it, I go home, I'm all excited. I unbox him, I set him up on the shelf, and I was like, oh, I got to go cancel. Well, when I went to go cancel it, I got an alert at the same time that your Boba Fett on the throne was shipped.
Yep.
So I got two of them,
Listen,
and I ain't
2
upset about
2
it.
yeah, 2 is better than 1 sometimes, but I feel like that's always how it happens. You pre-order something and then you find something different or the same item in store, and then you're like, "I gotta cancel the pre-order," but then it still ends up coming anyways, so, you end up
Or
with
you
2.
forget about the pre-order. You're like, oh,
Yes.
yeah, and then, like it's like Christmas when it shows up, and you're all excited. I'm like, oh yeah, I did order that.
Yep, especially, like, with how pre-orders and stuff, I feel like they've been taking a very long time to come in, and I'll put the email in, like, a folder, and I'm like, "I'll have to check back on that later," and I totally forget about it. It shows up at my door. I'm like, "Did I order something?" I open it up, I'm like, "Oh shit, I did order this months ago, but hey, it's here." But I've kind of slowed down on pre-ordering because it seems like by the time you pre-order it and it does come in, it's already like hit shelves in like certain
Yeah,
stores. So I'm like, I could just risk it and just go try to pick it up in store versus waiting for the pre-order. But I don't know. Pre-orders have been tough for me lately.
100%. They're the Achilles heel of the collector.
They are, unfortunately. It kills me. And then your other hot toy, are you gonna get all of them or just Hunter because he's your favorite?
Just Hunter when it comes to that line. I'm not a completionist. Like I don't have to like have them all or it's the end of the world. I collect the pieces that I want or I feel that I need, and then I just let everything else kind of go. Like I just Hunter's my favorite. That if I was a clone, I feel like that's the character I'd want to be because like he's looking out for, Omega, which is like his daughter. And I don't know, I feel like I could relate to him a lot. So that's what kind of like captured me is Hunter for sure. I mean, he really, I don't know, I feel like I said, that we relate.
Yeah, I totally get it. I mean, it makes perfect sense. He definitely became like a dad, kind of taking Omega under his wing and really caring for her more than just like, oh, you're just another clone. Like that was pretty much their kid, and it was pretty cool to see. What were your thoughts? Did you watch Bad Batch, the final season, like the finale?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
What were your thoughts on Old Man Hunter then?
So like I'm not I don't bash it at all. Like I like how they just ended it and it can be done.
Yes.
If they want to pick back up on it, they can. And they just left it with us kind of wanting more, I feel like. And I felt like that was just a good place because I think it'd be kind of cool to see like, a series come back at where it's like Omega's in trouble or, they do a story about Omega and, they get interjected back in every once in a while, like, hey, come here to save the day type thing. I think that'd be really cool. But I like how they ended it. I thought it was great. The whole story, like everyone complained about filler episodes. I'm really big on I love stories, and you have to have the filler episodes to complete the story. Can they be boring at times? Yes, but it reflects at the overall picture. So I'm never upset with filler episodes. I may have right in the moment be like, oh man, I wanted more. Like,
Mhm.
but like looking back on it, it's like, but without that scene, without this, like, you wouldn't understand what the final outcome was going to be. So I never have an issue with it. I know a lot of people do, but not me. Just like a lot of my buddies get mad. Book of Boba Fett. I loved it just because you took 30 years of an irrelevant character to Star Wars that did nothing for the story. I mean, it really did. He was completely irrelevant, and you have to build a story to mold him, and that's what we got in the first season. And I think if they do another season, you're going to see it. more like a different side of him. I think you're kind of going to get to see all of it. And so I wasn't mad about it at all. So I'm a huge Tusken Raider fan, if you haven't
Yeah,
noticed.
I couldn't tell.
So getting to dive in and kind of learn about them, I that was one of my favorite parts of Book of Boba Fett. So I don't know. I love the story. I think you got to see that. You know, yes, he was, this badass, bounty hunter, but you also got to see a little bit of a softer side to him, kind of wanting to do the right thing and wanting to do, try it a different way, and, you know, we've all done that, like let's say with work, you're always willing to try something new before you go back to, you know, what is the most comfortable for you. So I feel like in the first, season, you got to see him trying something new. And then toward the end, he's like, screw it, I'm coming out on a Rancor, and
Yeah.
just be a badass. And I thought that was awesome. But I think, we're going to see another season of it. I hope we see another season of it, but more of him being a badass because we've seen it. We've also seen character development of, you know, being, a little bit softer and trying to do it a different way. And then I think you're just going to see him hit the button and just be a totally different who he is to his bones. So I know that's probably going to piss some people off, but there you go.
I mean, we've said some controversial stuff today, so I think that's probably just added to the list. But no, I mean, I totally agree with you, especially like when it comes to like Clone Wars. I noticed it a lot. Like some of the episodes you watch and you're like, this doesn't matter. Like this is such a waste. But then they do such a good job with the writing that even though at the time you think it's not an important episode, it like links back to the finale or it links back to a future episode. So I think they do a really good job with that. Yes, some of the Sid episodes I didn't feel like were related, but overall, I loved Bad Batch. Thought it was phenomenal. I don't think it ended how a lot of us thought it was going to end. I think a lot of us thought there was gonna be like they were just none of them were gonna survive. Like minus Omega, she was gonna be the only one. So I was honestly pleasantly surprised that we got a different ending, but I really enjoyed how they finished it off. Like they're on their island. Omega's gonna go off and join the Resistance and be a pilot and continue fighting her fight. And it was really kind of cool to see the older clones because you do get to see a little bit of that. So it was cool to kind of see Old Man Hunter. I would have loved to see like Old Man Wrecker or Crosshair, but it's fine. We got one of them. But I don't know. I really enjoy that aspect of it. And same thing with Boba Fett. I mean, he was definitely like such an enigma. And I think that's why a lot of people loved him. Like he barely spoke. He was in a few scenes here and there, but he was such like a beloved character. And then I think with the Book of Boba Fett, you really got to kind of see what happens next with that character. So I really liked Book of Boba Fett minus the Vespa scene, but that is, just a personal preference. But I mean, overall, I liked Book of Boba Fett, and I would love to see Tamora Morrison do like a second season. I think that would be phenomenal, and I'm sure he's willing to do it. So I don't know why they wouldn't, but I'll just keep crossing my
Gotta
fingers.
keep my finger. Yep.
Yeah, that's it.
Hopefully they do that for sure.
Yeah, I hope so because he's such a good actor. He has such like a good presence. Like I got to sit at one of his panels for MegaCon, and he's just so like I don't even know how to like explain it. He was so like warm, like he just was like so happy to be there. He was so happy to talk about his experience on Book of Boba Fett. Like he just loves the character that he plays and like the people that were on the show with him. Like it was just so cool to see. Like I'm definitely a huge fan of him, so I would love to see like just aside from seeing more Boba Fett, like seeing him in the suit playing Boba Fett and seeing that story kind of progress because there's so much they could do with that character.
Oh, 100%. He's one of the characters that I really want to meet in person one day. Like I want to meet him really bad because I mean,
Yeah.
he just like you said, he just seems like, like that. He just seems so awesome, to be around. Just like Ray Park, I was this close to actually meeting Ray Park, and I have a Darth Maul signed by him, and I wanted to get it signed, and he canceled because they were like selling his autograph on like T-shirts, and it was like a comic book store, and it's like hey, can't do that. These were the rules. You didn't follow them, and like 2 weeks later, he's in Colorado, and one of my best friends lives right next to the comic book store that he was at. So I overnighted the toy to him, and he stood there all day just for that signature. And he's not a Star Wars fan at all.
Oh,
So I bought
wow.
him and his wife dinner that night and everything just to get that signature.
You gotta do
But
what you gotta do, but that's a baller friend.
yeah. And he even said, he's like, dude, he was like the nicest guy I've ever met. Like, he was like, hey, thank you for coming. Thanks for waiting in line. And he's like, just had like a whole conversation with him. And like, he's like, yeah, I don't even know who you are. And Ray Park was like, you seriously stood here all day not knowing who I am? So,
I'm sure he remembered that one. I mean, I got to meet him a couple weeks ago because he came to one of my local comic shops, but it was like so like hit or miss. He was like coming and he wasn't. So I finally like got to go. And like at one point he like stopped signing autographs and he like walked through the whole line and like fist bumped everybody and then went back to signing. And then like I got up there finally. It took like a few hours to get up to his, and it was like a short line, but I really understood why it was taking so long, even though the line was short, was because he was really taking the time. He like got up, he shook my hand, he was like, "Hi, like I'm Ray, like what is your name?" And I was like, "What the fuck is going on? Like this is crazy. Like no one's ever asked me what my name is." And he was like, "I appreciate you coming," and blah blah blah. And he was like, "This is such a cool like Funko Pop, like wow." And I haven't had an experience like that. Usually they're like, "Oh hi, let me sign it," and you can keep moving, kind of thing. But he like really was like he asked my name, and I was like, no one that I have gotten an autograph from or met yet has like been like, "What is your name?" I was shook.
my name, me. I would
Me?
have freaked out too.
I don't even know. you know? Yeah, it was. I was like, "It's Alexis. Like, how are you?" And he was like, "Oh." He was like, "Have we met before?" And I was like, "No, but we have now." So
We have now, or maybe he watches the podcast. You never know. Maybe he does.
who knows? Maybe I'll have to try to get him
I,
on and be like, "Can I look at your collection?"
I feel like if I was like a Ray Park or somebody that was in Star Wars, I would troll all of like the collectors out there on YouTube. Like I'd be in there in the comments all the time. Like I think it would be hilarious.
I definitely would. I think it's cool too, like when they do interact, like on like Instagram and stuff. Like I know Amon, the guy that plays like Ezra, like he's always on Instagram, like commenting on people's stories and stuff. And I'm like, this is so cool. Like, why doesn't anyone else do it? But you know, it would be cool if Ray Park did. I feel like he just has that like demeanor and that like personality that it would like be really funny.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see. Who knows? What do we got here? I see the droid kind of behind you, or was behind you earlier.
Yeah, that is going to be a life-size battle droid from top to bottom. I have everything printed. He's about three-quarters of the way done. I've just taken a big pause on him because I've been doing too many commissions for other people, so I haven't picked him back up. But I actually kind of like him just to kind of as a bust like that. I mean, he looks awesome, just kind of just chilling on my desk. So a little bit of inspiration sometimes when I'm like, I don't feel like doing anything, and I look at that and I'm like, oh, I really like doing this, and I don't know, nice silent friend that just sits there.
Yeah, I mean, even like not being full size, I think like as a bust, it looks really cool, and I like the paint scheme on it too.
Thank you.
Not
That's
like the
a
classic battle droid.
transport transport battle droid. That was the
Oh,
color theme for him.
nice. And then the Rex, is that like a Black Series one or
Yeah, that's the Black Series one. Had to have it. I found it in the wild at a comic book show, so I
nice?
was pretty shocked. And I walked up to the guy and I was like, "Hey, I'll give you this for it." And he's like, "Okay, that's fine." And it was like because he had it like marked up like 20%, and I did like I think maybe 5% over what retail was, and he was just, "Yeah, okay, cool." And I was like, "All right, cool." So I paid 5% more than what they were online, and I couldn't get them, so I was totally happy with that. And I felt like they did a pretty good job, other than they glossed like the battle damage, like the rust and stuff like that. But I mean, it's technically a toy, so I get it. I wish they would have. I wish they wouldn't have done that, but I can always fix that.
That is true. That is true. And then I see your little the Mando hot toy. Pretty sick. Did you make that like diorama for it or
Yeah, I made the diorama. That was the first diorama that I've ever made.
wow.
So I was pretty proud of that one.
Yeah. I feel like
Which
the dioramas
was
just elevate like the scene, it tells a story better. Like I love dioramas.
oh, when I posted the picture of it. So I did like a close up shot of it, kind of at an angle, and because one of my buddies, he does all kinds of photos like that. And when I did mine, like I had a lot of people reach out to me and they're like, "Oh man, your cosplay looks so good. Where'd you find that door at?" and everything like that. And I was like, "Oh, that's not me. That's a toy." And they're like, "Really?" I was like, "Yeah." I think that's the cool thing about like cosplaying though. Like when I did post something like that, somebody thought it was me. So I was like, "Yes, I'll
That
take
is
that
me.
score."
Yeah. I mean, they wouldn't have known if you could have been like, yeah, that was me.
Oh yeah, I built the door last week, and it's just my backyard.
Yeah, light work, whatever. Build a whole door. And then is this what you got signed by Ray Park?
Yeah, oh, I forgot I sent that to you. Yeah, so I was pretty. That's like that's that's one of my favorite toys that I have, collectible toys. And then
That's a cool
there's a
piece.
local guy here in Dayton. He makes those gumball machines. So they're authentic, like vintage gumball machines. He repaints them and then he etches the glass on them. Uh, and he'll do anything. And I asked him if he could do a Boba Fett, and uh, got it. And then all I had to do was buy the base for it, and then I filled it up with Reese M&Ms because that's my daughter's favorite. And when she's good, I give her a quarter, and she claims the prize, and then all the change goes into her bank account one day. So
Nice. That is pretty cool. It's a nice little like a gold star reward moment. But you get some Reese's Pieces
yep,
instead.
yep.
Okay. I mean, that's a pretty cool gumball machine. I was like, how did he make that? But that is pretty cool. I like that.
Oh, I wish I would have had that idea. I mean, it really is. I wish I would took pictures of like all the way around, because there's details all the way around the base and on the side glass and on the back. There's a design. I mean, he did a phenomenal job on them. But he does like DC and Marvel and like any character he'll do. It's like, where are you even getting all these gumballs, dude? Gumball machines, like.
Yeah. Especially with them being like authentic and stuff, but that's crazy.
And he only
Yeah.
charged me like I think like $125 for the whole thing. And I'm like, dude, you probably paid more for the gumball machine than that, but guess not. So I mean, he's super like reasonable on pricing. So
That's not bad. I might buy
super nice
myself a
guy.
gumball machine. Sounds like a good deal. And then some of the favorite pieces, I pulled a few, but this one was definitely very impressive. I thought it literally came out of the movie set. The painting of the Loth cats, like everything about it was, I feel like, very screen accurate and like on point.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I actually use a real motorcycle visor that like is for like an interior of a helmet. Uh, and so that's what I use for those, and a lot of hand painting and just trying to get it to as close to screen accurate as I can. It's so hard because you don't see it that much in the show, and it's so like fast, and trying to like freeze the frame. Like the first time I ever painted one, so I've done three total so far. The first
Okay.
one I did like yellow all the way across the top, and then like because it looked like it was like that, and then in another scene it's split in the middle, so there is no yellow that connects both sides. And it's so funny as you watch it and you break these scenes down, and it's each one of them's a little bit different. And you it's like, they made more than one helmet, that's why. And like there's some of the parts where where you zoom in and it looks like the visor's orange, like it has an orange tint to it, and it's but it's yellow, and it's so sometimes it's really confusing because I'm colorblind, so I gotta kind of guess sometimes or ask my wife, or when I'm making helmets for other people, sometimes I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna use this color. Do you think is this what you would want? Because if it's wrong, then it's your fault, not my fault. It's not the colorblind kid's fault. So,
Nope. Yeah. Yeah.
a lot of trial and error and guessing.
Yeah, I mean, I totally get it, but I the hand painted like loath cats, I feel like those are like probably my favorite part of it. They just look so like they just look perfect. Like I love the sketch of them. Like it just looks really cool. So I was very impressed by this one when you posted it a while back.
And when I made the first one, I kind of did a little hand sketch, and I was like, okay, I'm going to make a stencil, and then I'll spray the stencil, and kind of just move on about my day. And I cut out the first little stencil on tape, and my daughter comes over and she just like took it out of my hand. She's like, "Thanks, Dad!" And she runs to her room and sticks it on her wall. And I'm like, "All right, I got to start over." It's like I can't take it from her.
Nope. No, you cannot. That is so funny. I love
So
that.
the little behind the scenes of making stuff.
Yeah, I mean, everything's got a story, especially when you're like kind of crafting it yourself. There's always something that, just resonates with you about a project. So I totally get it. And then speaking
That's
of
where
the
the
Enoch
tears come in.
earlier, this thing is crazy.
Thank you. Um,
Absolutely.
so I've done them a couple different ways. I've tried different types of paints. The first one I made, I used gold leaf, and I gold leafed it, and it looked really good. Um, and then I did an oil wash black paint over it, and then slowly wiped it off, and that looked awesome. But then I found I was testing a bunch of different golds. So the newest ones that I've done, I actually found a spray paint that is a gold leaf spray paint, and once you oil that with the black oil paint, it looks so much better. And so that's what I did on both of these. One went to Joe, and then the other one went to Colin. One of my buddies does YouTube, and I'm getting ready to make another one. Actually, I just finished printing it yesterday.
Nice. How did you like do the cracks in it and stuff? Because I know like the night troopers, they have like the different lines that go through it. Some of them are gold. Like there's just it's a very like intricate helmet. Were those like hand painted cracks? Like how did you do that?
So in the file, when you go to print this, and you can get it at Galactic Armory, it's the lines are already on there, but they're
Uh,
not deep enough. So after that, I go in with a soldering iron, and I slowly melt the cracks deeper. And then after that, then I use liquid gold leaf, and then I hand paint the cracks. It takes a while, but it makes it pop when you're doing it.
yeah. Yep. It is definitely a really cool looking helmet. It's so impressive to me because I feel like that like a helmet of that caliber with the different layers, the paints, the cracks, like takes a lot of skill and probably time as well.
It takes a lot of time. I mean, one of those helmet. I did both of them at the same time, and it took me 3 weeks total. But it was really like, it was like an assembly line. I sand this piece, then I sand the same piece, and then I paint this piece and I paint that piece at the exact same time. So that helped out. It helped out a lot, but it definitely took a lot of time. And then when I'm all done, I pad and line them with fabric and memory foam so they're more comfortable. Um, and I do all of it by hand. I glue it in and smooth it out, and uh, it really just kind of like seals the deal. Like you can tell, yeah, it's fan made. I can't make the liner perfect, like if I was a big corporation, but I my goal is when you put it on, it's the most comfortable helmet that you've ever put on your head. So I use, and what's funny is I actually like cut the memory foam myself. So I have inch and a half memory foam, and I take a box cutter, and I I measure out where I want, and I'll sit there and I'll slowly slice it completely in half, long ways to the thickness that I want. So I don't buy like a bunch of different thicknesses. I do it all. I kind of shave it by hand until I'm happy with the thickness of the cheek pads or the top pad. Or takes a while, but it I feel like it just makes it more comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're wearing it too for like a cosplay and stuff, like all day at a con or anything like that, having a comfortable helmet is definitely a plus, I feel like. So the memory foam, taking that extra step, I feel like a lot of people who probably do wear them rather than like display them, probably really appreciate that.
I haven't had anyone complain about the interior, so they're always like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't really expect that."
Yeah, I mean, hey, it's like a it's made with TLC, you know?
Oh, blood, sweat, and tears, and all of them.
Yep, everything in between. And then this guy, it's like a Darth Maul battle droid, kind of,
So
I think.
one of my buddies in Texas, his name's John Joker. Uh, I made a few battle droids, and he's like, "Hey man, think about it." And he just real dramatic. He's like, "Darth Maul battle droid, go." And I was like, "All right, I can do this." And that thing it turned out really good. I was one of those like I called him up. I was like, "Man, I don't even know if I want to send this to you because I want to keep this." And ended up sending it to him. And I
Yeah.
messed up on the front right of that. Where you see where it's super silver. I messed up the paint a little bit, and I got super mad. And he's like, "Man, just paint silver on it, make it look, more battle damaged." And I was like, "Okay, well, I'll try it." I was really down on myself because I was like, "I just screwed up this whole thing. I'm going to have to sand it all down." And I did it, and I stepped back and I was like, "Oh my gosh, it actually looks really good that way." And I sent him a picture of it, and he's like, "Oh, sealed the
Per
deal, man. You did it." And I was like, "Yes."
period, yeah. It was meant to be battle damaged. It's a battle droid, you know? Yeah, that looks really cool. Is it, like, the same print that you used for the one that's behind you, like, the green one?
Yeah. Yep. So it's a life size 1-on-1.
Nice. And is the stand 3D printed, or is it, like, just really the head part?
Everything's 3D printed.
Wow. Very impressive, very impressive. I like that.
Thank you.
And then the last one, of course, probably a fan favorite for a lot of people is the Tusken Raider helmet, because what is not to like about that thing? It looks crazy. Like, the fabrics, the burns, like, crazy.
Yeah, it truly is. It's a lot of the helmets I make are like my favorite, but like this is like top because you get to do a lot of different mediums here. So I tear all the fabric myself, and then I use a ton of different stuff to stain it. So I mix coffee, soy sauce, and then alcohol ink, and I drop all the fabric into it, let it absorb, and then I rinse it out, and then I dry them, and that makes the because when you tear fabric, it looks good, but when you dry it, that fraying fuzzes up a little bit, so that makes it look more aged instead of like a fresh
Mhm.
tear. And then I lay it all back out, and then I take alcohol ink again, and I throw it at it in like blobs, and then I get to wrap it with all the leather and everything. And then after that, then I go in and I do airbrushing to darken it up in spots. And it, it it's one of the easiest and stressful helmets that I make because there's less sanding because I don't have to sand as much. I just have to do all the metal pieces and sand those and smooth them. But like you get the stress of like, okay, am I overwrapping it? Does it not, it does it look like this would be like organically like put on? Like, is this how they would have done it? And try to tell a story. So, and this is the chieftain. So it's one of those, if I screwed up the chieftain, everyone would, well, yeah, you're not any good.
But, no, I think it looks amazing, and there's definitely a lot of intricate parts, it seems like, that go into it, but I feel like it came out amazing, and it looks cool when it's on, like, it's just a cool piece, probably one of my favorite favorite ones. Saved it for last, but I'm glad I did because you mentioned you love Tusken Raiders. So there we go. Meant to be.
That my next thing is I want a Tusken Raider hot toy. I really want one, and then I want to do a Tusken Raider helmet next to it. Um, I am going to be Joel. I've made Joel some mini helmets. So he's been making like child size, like about a 5, 6 year old size Tusken Raider, and I just bought a mannequin, so that's going to be my next project is doing one of my own. I think that would
Okay.
just be a lot of fun to do.
Yeah, it definitely
On
would.
cap
Would you print
scale.
out like have you printed like a gaffy stick yet or anything like that?
I have the files and I haven't started it yet, but it's definitely going to be coming soon
Okay,
for sure.
okay. We'll put a pin in it for now. Okay, cool. So those were all the ones that I pulled. And usually my last question, I mean, it might be a little bit difficult because you're not like a huge collector, more of like a creator. But what is your favorite piece in your collection, or maybe your favorite piece that you've created? We'll go with that.
Ooh, favorite piece that I've created. Uh, Man, that's a tough one because like I I've fallen in love with just about everything that I've made. Like I made a Power Ranger helmet for somebody one day, and I was like, oh, I really love this. I don't want to give it up. Um, it's probably going to be a Captain Enoch helmet, just because like I, the trial and error that I had to go through to get it to where it's at now. Um, I just put a lot into each one of those, and when you step back and really like look at it, like I've kind of like impressed myself a few times on it, like, oh dang man, I did a good job. Like, and so I definitely I'd have to say Captain Enoch, even though like I'm always proud of every single Tusken Raider helmet because they're all unique and different, and they none of them look the same, and I tuck the all the fabric differently. But like the Captain Enoch, like he's like my Darth Maul right now. Like,
Okay.
or like Boba Fett back in the day. Like you don't know anything about him. The mystery of him is so like there, and I feel like that's my favorite helmet so far that I've made.
Okay.
And then in
Cool.
my collection,
Yeah.
my favorite thing in my collection is
Comic.
Boba Fett on the throne,
Oh, really?
100%.
Not the
Yeah.
comic, the graded comic?
I mean, that I feel like that's
Different.
like a different realm. Like
Okay.
when it comes to like collectibles, I look at that as a collectible. Comics is like I don't know, it's like a different thing. But like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's my number one comic. Like I feel like everything has a category.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a great piece, you made it even better, so I totally get I mean, those are pretty solid picks, and then, I guess before we sign off, or I have you kind of tell people where they can find you, I've started a new thing at the end, because this is a collecting podcast. If you could give any one piece of advice to collectors, or in your case, creators, what would that piece of advice be?
Well, for creating, I would say build what you love because it makes it more enjoyable, especially if you're doing it for other people. Find your niche, find and just dive in. And I didn't have anybody at all like I reached out to so many content creators on like that make Star Wars stuff or make cosplays or does 3D printing, and no one got back to me. And it was really discouraging, but I figured it all out on my own. And I always like to tell people, like, if you have questions or like anything, hit me up. I will definitely answer it out. If I know something, I'm gonna give you my honest feedback. But don't be scared to screw up. Like everything's fixable when it comes to 3D printing. You can always sand it all back down, start over, or reprint it and start over, and just get out there and dive in. And when it comes to collecting, find the things that, take you back, because that's what I do. Like, oh man, I remember having this piece when I was a kid, or I love this character from when I was a kid. And, go after the things that you like. Don't just buy just pieces for your collection just to have, like, make them meaningful, make them, you know, put connect a memory to it. I mean, that's what I do. Like, those are the pieces that, like, oh, I remember the first time I ever saw, Yoda. uh, I have to have this Yoda. This one's a badass Yoda, and kind of go from there. I only have two Yodas in my entire collection, even though I absolutely love him. But it's like a specific piece and how it looks, and I have to have that one. I don't just buy every Yoda that has ever been made or every Darth Maul that's ever been made. I go for what can trigger that memory for me.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very solid piece of advice, and I'm sure I appreciate it. I'm sure other creators and collectors will appreciate it as well. So thank you for that, and thank you for coming on. I feel like it was great having you. Kind of a different take on the collecting podcast. Really talking to someone that creates Star Wars items. It was really cool to kind of see your perspective and thought process. So I really do appreciate you coming on. That was pretty cool. That was awesome.
I appreciate you inviting me. Next time it has to be
Yeah,
me, you, and Flex. We have to have
100%. Flex, Rex, and
the
Lux.
trio.
Right? Yeah, the big dogs. But I guess, before we jump off, could you let people know one more time where they can find you at? If you have anything upcoming you want people to be on the lookout for, anything like that?
So on YouTube, it's Millennium Workshop. Same on TikTok and Instagram. And if you want to follow me on Facebook, it's just Rex Henry. Just keeping it with the true name on that one. Upcoming projects, I'm working on Darth Maul's battle droid, his probe droid. Working on
Oh,
that right now, about three-quarters of the way done on that. I got another Commando Mandalorian helmet that I'm going to be finishing here soon, and working on an Inquisitor mask for somebody. So those are all coming soon.
interesting. Okay, well, definitely check out all of his pages. I'm going to link his information down in the description so you guys can find him easy and check out his amazing work. But again, I appreciate you so much for coming on. This was great, and I will see everybody next Thursday.